This is episode 143 of the Leadway Wealth Builders podcast, being recorded here on June 13th, 2025, and I'm going to be breaking down my newest flip that we just closed on today, and I'm going to be breaking down all the numbers, what we're going to do. So, this is the Leadway Wealth Builders podcast. My name is Chris Rickenbaugh, and if you haven't listened to this show before, I am documenting my journey in real estate and business from quitting my job just about a year ago and diving full-time into real estate and just trying to figure this thing out. So I also talk a little bit about travel hacking and personal finance as well. Those are big passions of mine as we're getting ready to do some really cool traveling, and we're going to be doing that for a very small amount of money. And if you remember, I went to Hawaii last year only on $66 with hotels, flights, rental cars. So I'm going to be talking about what we're going to be doing for Dubai and the Maldives, Cartagena, and Colombia. So make sure you tune in for those episodes. And I'm also going to be having guests on the podcast. So Jeff and Lexi Bodenmuller, I think we scheduled that out in July. I have a wholesaler that's coming on, just being able to share his story a little bit and then to educate a little bit about wholesaling as well as a mortgage lender as well. So you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at chris.rickenbaugh. That's Instagram and TikTok at chris.reichen.bach. So let's hop into the episode here. So yes, I am recording this right after we have closed on a new flip project. How it was sent to me, I'm going to go from basically beginning to end here on how we found it. So this was a wholesaler who called me right as he was signing the papers to be able to get this under contract. And something I didn't exactly love about it was that the reason he was able to get this under contract for almost $100,000 under what it was listed for on Zillow or, the MLS was that he told them he could close within 3 days. So he called me on Thursday. We got it under contract on Friday, and he was trying to get us to close on Monday. So, working with the essence of speed, that's what the seller wanted. But the problem is we need to go through the title search. We need to be able to get our hard money lender set up, make sure we got all the numbers in place. So I was able to drag that out about 2 weeks and thought I was actually going to be able to wholesale it. But for some reason, the comps aren't coming back correctly or great for other investors, or they're just trying to get a good deal, which, I respect. It's just annoying. But, so I want to break down the numbers on where we locked it up. So I'm going to pull up my deal sheet here. So we bought this property for $260,000. So yes, that is a lot, but something that helped me in my position right now with a couple projects going on, I'm like, I have no extra funds to be able to put down for earnest money. I'm like, can we do no earnest money? He goes, yeah, that's fine. Sounds good. Let's sign the papers. So I got in this project with zero earnest money down. And then we got it ready to go from our lender, who was able to give us the hard money loan. And then we had to come to the table with just a little under $50,000. So remember that. I think it was like $47,300 and some. So not exactly $50,000, but I know going to an investor, it's easier to raise just a little bit more. So I was looking for $50,000. So the purchase price is going to be $260,000. We walked it with our contractor. He said, yeah, we're going to be in the ballpark of about $60,000 or no, $50,000 on the renovation. So we're going to have a little bit more of a cushion. And so I felt really safe about this, especially, the big one here is that I have 3 months, no interest. So that's huge, because what's happening right now with all these projects going on is that we're using the funds from the renovation because now we're budgeting correctly for it so that we can, hold this property for 4 to 6 months and not have it eat into any of the renovation budget. Because if you listen to me on another episode, I talked about how a partner was budgeting incorrectly. So say we budget $60,000 for this project, and we're going to be using some of that renovation money to be able to pay down for interest. So what happens is, so say you go this full 6 months, say it's $2,500 a month, so that ends up being $15,000. So if you use that money in that way, I don't recommend it, but if that's how you're budgeting and that's what you're using it for, then you're actually working with a $45,000 renovation budget. So that cuts it super, super thin, and then you're probably underwater, you're having to raise more money, projects slowing down. So, it's just chaos. So now we're raising it this way to be able to, make the project move along a little bit smoother. And, our hard money lender said, yeah, we can do the 3 months, but we can't do like 4 to 6. So I said, okay, sounds good. It should be probably about a 45-day project at the most, maybe 60, but that's going to be at the absolute most. So we should be able to get this project in, no tenants to deal with. So that's going to be awesome. So remember, the purchase price is $260,000. We budgeted a $60,000 renovation cost, but what actually ended up happening through, I think, something with a hard money lender, they actually miscalculated it. So we ended up with another $6,869 for this renovation project. So we're going to have a little bit extra, but what happened there, we were expecting to close, right around $47,300, I think was the number. But the problem with this bump up is that it pushed our cash to close just right above $50,000. I think I had to bring like $40 to the closing table. So, you're expecting that private money, you're, raising a little bit extra to take care of the insurance payment, to make sure you're good and have a little bit extra for the dumpster that needs ordered right away. For some of those things that need ordered before that project starts, like insurance and dumpster, like I mentioned, those are the things that are going to be coming out of your pocket. So if you're raising a little bit extra, it comes from those funds, and it doesn't hurt you in any way because the lender is going to be getting the same return either way. So that threw a little bit of a curveball at us. Not too big, but just enough to make us like, oh my gosh, like here's another thing. So that's what we have in the budget. So as for the actual house, what needs to be done to it. So we need to redo all of the windows, all of the main things in the house, and that's a little general, but it's like the roof, the HVAC, the furnace, and the water heater are all great. We don't have to touch it. So that's going to be really helpful because it's going to allow us to put a little bit more into the home, like accent walls, or do a little bit extra to the exterior, like fencing or a driveway that's going to be able to help us sell the home a little bit easier. So that's, where that extra $6,000 is probably going to end up going if we can stay on budget. But we always have it there if we need to do something, rip open walls and need a lot more drywall. But hopefully that's not what we need. So throughout the house, I said no roof, none of the major appliances. So we're going to be redoing all of the windows. We're going to be redoing the flooring, the doors, the kitchen, and then 2 bathrooms. But the big one is going to be adding a full second bathroom. So it's a half bath right now with just a toilet and a sink for the master. But when looking at the ARV, which I'm going to get into right after this, is that it pushed up our ARV so much to add in that shower to make it a full second bathroom that we said, yeah, we have to do this. There's no way around it. So another curveball might be having to get the entire house rewired. That'll be an extra, $5,000 to $6,000 if we end up having to do that. So hopefully we'll get that report back tomorrow and say, hey, we just need to touch a few things and shouldn't need to do the full rewire. But either way, it's in the budget. We're all good for that. And I want to get into the numbers here. So originally, looking at my deal flow rehab analysis, that we get through our mastermind deal flow with Cam Cathcart. The purchase price going off of this is $260,000. I did a rehab of $60,000, not anticipating that extra $6,000, but either way, that's just going to be able to let us add more value to the house. So we're running this on a base, best, and worst case scenario. So we're going to start off with the base case scenario. And before this is with adding the second bathroom. So before, what we were anticipating is selling the house within a 390 to 410 range. So that would have given me about 15,000 to 25,000, somewhere in that little range right there. That would have been my profit off of this. But adding the second bathroom, it bumps our absolute floor of selling the house up to 425,000. And then our range becomes 425 to about 475. So we're going to be targeting right in the middle there. We're not going to be doing, anything spectacular. We want to be able to get in and get out. So going off the numbers here with the purchase price, the rehab, and all the holding costs and interests for 6 months, which, if we sell it earlier than 6 months, then we don't have to pay all of that interest, the origination fee, and then all of the commissions and closing costs, we end up with a net profit of $57,000 off of our floor number at 425. So, we just turned, about a base hit of, 15,000 to 20,000 in profit up to about 50 for me off of the floor number on the base case. So that's that second bathroom we looked at and said, yeah, we definitely need it here, because it can really only get better from there. Putting in an extra $6,000 to $8,000 on the property to be able to get another, 15 to 20,000 more in net profit. I said, yeah, we're gonna do that all day. So in that accident that the loan team made of giving us an extra $6,800, that could easily be the bathroom right there. All the inspections, the holding costs, whatever we need, that's going to come right from that $6,000. So moving on to the worst case scenario of this house. So say, it doesn't go exactly to plan. Say we have to dump it. Here's going to be our bottom number of $400,000. So with all the purchase price and everything staying the same, the only thing changing is the sale price of $400,000. We end up with a net profit of $33,000. So all you have to do to calculate your lender's costs in there, or your private lender, if you're giving them 15% like I am, then you're just going to be taking out whatever their interest would be and subtracting from that net profit. So off of the base case of $57,000, all I do is, subtract the $7,500 from there, and that's right at $50,000. So that leaves us knowing that we can fire sell this thing and still make money off of it. And that was the plan originally, because we weren't expecting to put in that second bathroom. We were just going to, clean it up, get it done, and get it back on the market. But with such a gap there, we said there's no way, we can't do it. So now we're moving on to the best case scenario, which everybody wants to hear. So everything staying the same in the deal: purchase price, rehab, holding costs. The only thing changing is that sale price. So yes, I did say that we could possibly go up to 475, but I'm targeting that middle. So we could probably go between 450 to 460, but I'm going to run my numbers conservatively here at 450. And that ends us up with a net profit of $80,775. So we take out our interest to our hard money or to our private money lender, and that leaves us with just a little over $70,000 coming back into my pocket. So that is a huge, huge difference, and off of what we were anticipating. So we said there's no way we can't, add that second bathroom in there. So that's what we're going to do. And you're going to be able to listen to everything we're doing here on the podcast. I'll give little updates here and there about it, so make sure you tune in for that. But if you're really interested in the deal and what we're doing, how we're renovating the property, the best way to be able to keep track of that is to follow me on social media at chris.rickenbaugh. So that's Chris.ReiChenBach. So you'll be able to see my TikTok, my Instagram, and I'm going to be doing walkthrough, showing exactly what we're doing to the property and showing how we're adding value. The exterior, it's going to be black with like the wood accent, so I'm super excited to do that for the first time. We've just been doing like plain white and black on the outside, so this will give it spice it up a little bit. So those are the numbers. That's what we're doing to the house. Super excited to get this project rolling here on Monday, and you'll be able to listen or see it everywhere, whether you're listening to the podcast or tuning into my TikTok and Instagram. So make sure you tune in there and keep tuning into the podcast, as we're going to have some really, really awesome interviews coming up. So that's all I got for you today. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you on the next episode.